niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coast shit. Cause if they make the wrong move, it coast shit. You see me, they like, ooh, chemo sapping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hear that raw shit. Coming up, I'm about to bullshit. They see me, they like, ooh, chemo sapping. I'm on my body, real niggas right beside me. Damn right, I brought my army. Going up like a rocket, and can't nobody stop me. These niggas garbage, so watch your mouth, boy. Coming all black, slithering house, call me mouth, boy. I'm off the hip like a cowboy. I'm a king, you should bow, boy. Shorty like, damn, man, you cut up. Nothing I can handle. 144 in the booth, going Rambo. Niggas do you dirty like a stick in a bando. That's why I play the corner like a bum with a banjo. I'ma lead by example. Ooh, chemo sabe, got this bitch off the hand. Got the juice, got the drip, about to hit the bitch with the salt. It ain't rap, it's assault. Can't taste a bitch unless you with the coke. They say they wanna hear that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coast shit. Cause if they make the wrong move, it coast shit. You see me, they like, ooh, chemo sapping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hear that raw shit. Coming up, I'm about to bullshit.
I do it how a veteran be. You better than me. I'm Reggie at the edge of the key. It's all money, no honey. Think you settle and see. You locked up, fucked up, and it's back to the streets. It's One West. You can check the residency. I reside with soldiers died on the soles of their feet. Cause it's death before designer. Ain't no coward in me. Cause I'm cold as a bitch's shoulder. You ain't calling a week. Get the cooking on this beat. Hope you like it well done. Got them killers rolling with me and they all red rum, red rum, red rum. Got you fucking scared some. Get the banging on this beat till my fucking head numb. Black Glock, red drum, black and yellow Air Ones. Homie, you ain't got a vest. I suggest you wear one.
Told these niggas we was going up. They was doing a lot of talking. Now these niggas ain't saying shit.
Feeling like a legend in this shit, lil nigga, I'm past veteran. Never feeling third, lil nigga, I'm past second. Guns, I gotta have them all like Ash Ketchum. Shotty break a nigga ribs up like his wife left him. We all steppin', kill you with kindness cause I'm dead nice. That 5'7" put you 6 feet, not talking height. That judge giving out 5, but you doing life. These hands are rude GPS, a mean right. That's mean right, we build different, you know the vibes. And we something authentic, we notarized. I keep a 144 because I know a cod. Noah's Ark, you know I'm with animals when we flowing by. We back again, no cap, when I'm with Cap again. Yeah, they say they want smoke until we matching them. Everything righteous, so you know when we get back at them, you get hit up with a K, but no acronym.
They say they wanna hear that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coast shit. Cause if they make the wrong move, it coast shit. You see me, they like, ooh, chemo sapping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hear that raw shit. Coming up, I'm about to bullshit.
This a Batman tune, I promise you. This shit lit, cuz. This shit lit, alright? Run that joint.
Niggas looking for the light. Me and my niggas prepared for the dog. Yeah. So we gon' get it on for the last days, nigga. You already know what it is. 140 for the rebel.
They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. It's a problem, tell them pop ball. I die for I let my colors fly, ball. For a nigga take me, they'll drop dead. AR, clean them up like a mop pig. Say he cool, he bad, he really so tough. They like, damn, look what he did to really go rough. Little bitch think she Kiki Palmer, silly hoe. She know I'm that bull, but I ain't from Philly though. From the city where they sing about that ribbon like petty poops. Know them niggas plotting, gotta deal with me. Can't catch me slipping, got to steal with me. Just left Alabama, bought a chopper from some hillbilly move. He made my life feel the blade. Leave them all bruised, come come through like a plague. Rebel off the leash like a dog out the cage. Call me Johnny Blaze on One West May. Watch your step get stretched like a limousine. So my brother bring that blade back wet, that's my enemy. Little nigga, this that cold, need to talk. Niggas know I got blood in my cup, I just sip it like it's grenadine. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. On your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war, let's see who make it out. Tell them niggas good night, here come the bitch. Look, told them niggas get right or get left. U.P.K, bad man, I pin to your flesh. Hellboy, rip the soul out of dead man shit. Got the rate, the power, I been the showstopper. Yeah, they might hate, but I know they gon' watch. Zone on lock, and you know the flow prop. Iced out, got the drip out of David Jones lock. Know I got the plan, they say that you the man. No shit, Sherlock, I'm the one you heard by. Burn down the building, let them all watch. Throw that One West up, then I swerve out. Sick with this shit, I do not need a detox. He don't watch a step, blow him out them Reeboks. We taking over, I'm sending the word out. Can't see me, little nigga, I put you in a bird box. Look, it's One West practical, gladiator, maximum. Creep on them slow, but that Glock fire rapido. All I want is more power, more straps to blow. Ain't got excuse for no car, he gon' have to go. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. On your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out.
That's Sunday.
Yeah, clap it up, clap it up.
All right, Shalom Israel. We're in Leicester, we're live in Leicester. Today's class, how did white Jesus enter the black man's house? Also, any questions, just type them in the chat. Any comments, type them in the chat. We also have classes Monday through Friday. Monday we have what? The law class. Tuesday the brotherhood class. Wednesday the history class. Thursday the scripture breakdown. And Friday the last one, Qudash. Get the class scheduled. Subscribe to all our channels, ISUPK.com. So now, how did white Jesus enter the black man's house? We're going to get right into it. Give me Revelations chapter 20 and verse 1.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit.
So now, this bottomless pit is what? Where the oppressor was for a time. An angel came down, bound him, and they wasn't able to lie to us for a certain amount of time. Go ahead.
And great chain in his hands.
And a chain in his hands. What do you do with a chain? You chain someone up.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon.
And he laid hold on the dragon. Now, when he laid hold on him, this was the time of the Dark Ages. This was the time of the Dark Ages, which the world calls medieval, the medieval era, or the Middle Ages. Go ahead. And they call it the Dark Ages. Why? Because what you realize is with the oppressor, he's low-key dissing the people that was ruling. So they call it the Dark Ages for these reasons. They claim it was a dark time for them. Why? Because they had fallen from the typical classical antiquity that they wanted, that Greek and Roman era. They wanted things to be like that. During this time of the Dark Ages, it wasn't like that. Go ahead.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil.
He laid hold on the dragon, which is the devil and Satan. So yes, the oppressor being the devil is in the Bible, man, because he is the dragon. He laid hold on the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. Go ahead.
And Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
And bound him for 1,000 years. And this was during the time of the Dark Ages. Why? Because they say that Rome fell for 1,000 years. So this was during that time. Go ahead.
And we'll count verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit.
Meaning he was just so low and low and low. Go ahead.
And we'll count. And shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations.
Go ahead.
And set his hand that he should, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more.
And now there's a seal set on him that he should deceive the nations no more. So this was during the time of the Dark Ages when what? Everybody knew that Christ was black. Everybody knew the angels was black. Why? Because there was a seal set on this man that he should deceive the nations no more. So the world knew what was right. They knew who was black and all of those things. They know who was the real Jews. They know who was the real Israelites. They knew who those people was at that time. Why? Because there was a seal set on this man that he should deceive the nations no more. Go ahead.
It's not yet.
Go ahead.
That seal is like now, isn't it? Is it now? Like now everyone's confused. No one knows.
No, the seal was on him, so he couldn't deceive the nations. Now that seal is not on him, now he can deceive the nations. That's why people don't know Christ is black. So he was in the bottomless pit, and there was a seal put on him that he shouldn't deceive the nations no more.
Okay.
So yeah.
Right, so it's loose from that time.
Now he's loosened this time.
Now,
Yes.
From that time.
Yeah, from that. Yeah.
Okay. Right, deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled.
And then the 1,000 years was fulfilled, and now he's allowed to deceive the nations. Now, how did he deceive the nations once that 1,000 years was fulfilled? The Renaissance, man.
That's right.
The rebirth, that's what they call it. The Renaissance is the rebirth. That's how they deceived the nations once these 1,000 years was up. So take me to this book right here, the first page. You see highlighted here, the Renaissance. So we're in a book called The Renaissance, the Oxford History of the Renaissance.
Right. Page first. Okay. Introduction, Gordon Campbell. The Renaissance is model. The Renaissance is a model of cultural descent. So
now the Renaissance is a model of cultural descent. So during the time of the Renaissance, they got rid of your culture that was here and started to whitewash everything and add their own culture. Go ahead.
In which the culture of 15th and 16th century Europe is represented as a repudiation. Repudiation of a medieval world in decline.
So now they called it a medieval world in decline, and the medieval world was what? That was the Dark Ages. They said the medieval world was in decline, and then they called theirs the Renaissance, meaning the rebirth. So what did they start to do? Started to paint all this artwork, paint all the prophets white. This is around the time when they started to do all of them paintings. We're going to go into some of them paintings a bit later on. Go ahead.
In favor of the revival of the culture of ancient Greece and Rome.
And now in favor of the culture of ancient Greece and Rome. So they wanted to get rid of the medieval Europe area. They wanted to get rid of all of that. They wanted to get rid of what was going on during the Byzantine Empire. And they wanted to go back to the days of Greece and Rome. And this is why they paint everybody naked. Why? Because the Greeks was always naked, man. The Romans was always naked. So they got rid of, and this is why in Byzantine art, you will never see the prophets drawn naked. Because they didn't do that. But what happened is, they wanted to take things back to Greece and Rome. So Greece and Rome, they started painting everybody naked. Go ahead.
The parallel religious model is the Reformation, in which the church is represented as turning its back on corruption.
And now they said the medieval era was corrupt, and they said the whole Renaissance is the church turning its back on corruption, which is a lie, man.
Right.
Listen, this is what they did. They turned their backs on whoever was black and painted everybody white.
Right.
That's what they did. Why? So you could worship them. And you don't think Christ is white because of the Bible. The reason you think Christ is white is why? Because of the images that you've seen.
That's right.
It's because of the images that you've seen that they try to attach to the Bible. The reason they have all these images that they try to attach to the Bible is because of the Renaissance period. So that's where all them images come from. Go ahead.
Decline in the favor of the renewal of the purity of the early church.
And now they're trying to say that they're going to make it all pure again, the purity of the early church. Go ahead.
in both models there had been an intervening middle period between the glorious past and its revival.
So now they was talking about its glorious past and its revival. So what they considered was glorious was the Greek and the Roman era, and now they're talking about the revival of the Roman and the Greek era. They wanted that back because that's when they was ruling, and then this whole part that they call the medieval era, Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, they hated that part. Why? Because there wasn't ruling. So now they want that revival. Go ahead.
The idea of the Middle Ages, Middle Ages was introduced to European historiography by the Roman historian Flavio Biondo.
Go ahead. Is there any more in that, or is that the main bulk of it? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Biondo in 1437 and quickly became a commonplace. Thereafter, European history was conventionally divided into 3 periods.
So now they said European history was divided into 3 periods. Now it's going to give you the 3 periods that it was divided into. Go ahead.
Classical antiquity.
So now the first one is classical antiquity. So that's what they want to go back to. They want to go back to classical antiquity. Go ahead.
The Middle Ages.
The Middle Ages. So after classical antiquity, you had the Middle Ages. Go ahead.
And the modern period.
And after that, you had the modern period. So classical antiquity was the Greeks and the Romans. The Middle Ages was when black people's rule in Europe. And then the modern era is what they're having right now. Go ahead.
The biblical metaphor of rebirth was first applied to art by Giorgio Vasari, who used the term to denote the period from Kamibu and Kyoto to his own time.
Go ahead.
It was certainly an inordinately slow birth. The broadening of the term Renaissance to compass a period and a cultural model is a product of the 19th century.
So now they're letting you know where the word Renaissance comes from. Give me page 2 actually. Let me see what's on page 2.
Page 2. The model of the Renaissance has evolved over time, and all the generation of historians had a predilection for precision. The Middle Ages were deemed to have begun in 476.
So now it's given the years. It begun in 476. So you'll find out the years that they give the Middle Ages is about the around the time of the fall of the western part of the Roman Empire. Go ahead.
And with the fall of the Roman Empire in the west, and concluded with the fall of the Constantinople.
And then with the fall of Constantinople, when them Arabs came, what's his name? Something Mehmed II, I believe. Once he came and broke down the walls of the Byzantine Empire, and then after that, that was the fall of the Byzantine Empire. Once he came and destroyed the city of Byzantium and made it a Muslim city, it became a stronghold for the Muslims after that. Go ahead.
In 1453, when Greek...
So that was like 1,000 years, so that's the whole period from the fall of the Roman Empire to the fall of Constantinople. And then that's when they started to take over. That's when the Europeans started to take back over this earth after the fall of Byzantium and so forth. Go ahead.
Okay. When the Greek scholars fled to Italy with their classical manuscripts under their arms. That's the end of it.
All right, give me the next page. The next highlighted page. Yeah, highlighted page.
the play to reflect innovative classical influences as well as cultural continuities with the Middle Ages. Many of the chapters in this book address the blend of continuity and innovation in the cultural of the period.
Go ahead.
The model of the Renaissance still affects the European sense of its past. In England, for example, secondary schools do not teach the language of England.
So now it says in secondary schools, they don't teach the language of what was going on in the Middle Ages. They don't teach none of the history of the Middle Ages. So you'd be like, yo, don't the world know Jesus is black based off these images? The reason the world don't know is why? Because they've made sure that it's not taught in schools. So they've made sure that nothing important of the Middle Ages is taught in schools. They don't even teach the Greek that black people spoke, because they said, nah, it's not pure Greek. We don't want to teach that Greek. We're only going to teach the Greeks that the Greek that the Africans spoke. So while it is, you're thinking, with the Renaissance, you're thinking, yeah, it was just a group of white men that, liked painting. No, it was more than that, man. It was a whole business and a whole corporation set up to hide the fact that Jesus Christ was black. It was a whole business and a whole corporation and a whole movement to hide the fact that the real Jews are black. So they done all of that and they don't teach it. Why? Because over time people see it and be like, well, what you lot are saying, it's not Oxford don't teach what you lot are saying. Cambridge don't teach what you lot are saying. So they've done it that way. So whenever you do come and say Jesus Christ is black, they can be like, not according to Oxford, is not. So that's why they do all of that on purpose. So they don't teach it. So what they will do is get rid of everything that was in the Middle Ages. Why? Because they hated the fact that they wasn't ruling. So they got rid of all the images and then they gave you white images. So okay, go ahead.
Anglo-Saxons, because our line of cultural descent is deemed to originate in the ancient Greece.
So now they said we don't want to teach about the Anglo-Saxons or none of those people because our history don't originate with them. Our history originates with the Greeks and the Romans. So they skipped all of that middle part and they go back to the very beginning. So they go back to Greece and Rome. They skip that whole middle part and then they speak about the Renaissance. So what they try to do is delete the Dark Ages out of history. All of that, the Middle Ages, they try to remove all of that from out of history. Go ahead.
Traditional schools therefore teach classical Latin and sometimes ancient Greek.
So now in schools, they teach classical Latin and ancient Greek. So what they're trying to say is the Latin that black people spoke ain't good enough to teach, man. The Greek that black people spoke ain't good enough to teach. Go ahead.
The humanists of the Renaissance believed that classical Latin was pure and medieval Latin corrupt.
And they said classical Latin was pure and medieval Latin corrupt, meaning they didn't even want to teach what our brothers was teaching, what other brothers was speaking during the Dark Ages, man. And that's biblical, man. What did the Bible say? I will speak to them with stammering lips, man. Meaning though we speak the same language as them, it's not the same language, man. And even they're saying that their Latin's pure and the Latin that we spoke and the Greek that we spoke wasn't pure. So now they said that's why they don't teach it in schools. So I don't know if anyone's ever gone to school and been taught about the Anglo-Saxons. You probably haven't. A lot of the Middle Ages stuff they don't teach. The only thing that will teach you about the Middle Ages is maybe the Black Death and some of the wars, but they will never teach you who the people was. Go ahead.
That's like even like over here in England, like they don't want their children to talk like how we talk in that slang, you know. That black talk, that slang, you know what I mean?
And all of that, they do that on purpose. So you're thinking, yeah, this is just one Edomite that's got a problem with black people. Nah, man, it's more than that. So Lucky, go ahead.
And so taught classical Latin.
And so they taught classical Latin. So I don't know if when you go to school and you can learn languages, Latin used to be in some schools you could learn Latin. The Latin that you're not going to learn is the Latin that was spoke during the Middle Ages, because black people speaking that Latin, so they're not going to let you learn that one. Go ahead.
We do the same today in the cases of Greek. We are much more precise. We do not teach Homeric Greek or Byzantine.
Byzantine.
Byzantine Greek.
So now they said they don't teach Byzantine Greek. Why don't they teach Byzantine Greek? Why? Because black people's ruling the Byzantine Empire, man.
That's right.
Black people's ruling the Byzantine Empire after the western part of the Roman Empire fell. So that's why they call it the Dark Ages. Why? Because they fell, and the eastern part of the Roman Empire, which was the Byzantine Empire, who moved their seat to Istanbul. Was Istanbul, right? Yeah, they moved their seat to Istanbul. That was black people ruling. So now they tried to blot all of that out of history, and then they tried to get rid of all of that, and then that's why they had the whole Renaissance, meaning the rebirth, meaning they believe that they was born before the fall. Now it's time to be reborn. So that's why they call it the Renaissance, which means the rebirth. Go ahead.
Greek or modern Greek. We do not teach the Homeric Greek or Byzantine Greek or modern Greek, but rather the Greek of Athens.
See, but rather the Greek of Athens, man. What they're saying is your Greek is garbage. What they're saying is the Greek that black people speak is garbage. But we want to teach the Greek of Athens. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to go back to classical antiquity. And that was the whole point of the Renaissance. Go ahead, is there any more on that?
In the 5th century BCE, in this sense, we are inheritors of the Renaissance.
So now, yeah, that's it. All right, so now let me pull up classical antiquity. Hold on, bear with me. All right, so now let's see what classical antiquity is. It says classical antiquity, also known as the classical era, classical period, classical age, or simply antiquity, is the period of cultural European history between the 8th century BC and the 5th century AD. So now that was the classical antiquity. It was that period. So they wanted to go back to that period. So it says comprising the
interwoven civilizations of ancient Greece and ancient Rome, known together as the Greco-Roman world.
So now they wanted to go back to the Greco-Roman world. And if you know anything about the Greco-Roman world, Edomites was in power, they was ruling, all their images was white, and they wanted to go back to that. They was tired of seeing your black Byzantine images. So they said, we need to do something about this. So they had the whole Renaissance, the rebirth. They was tired of seeing black people in power. They said, we need to do something, the rebirth. And that's why you had the whole Renaissance.
Right. Centered on the Mediterranean basin. It is the period during which ancient Greece and ancient Rome flourished and had major influence throughout much of Europe.
So now it goes, this is when they flourished and had major what? What do you say? Major influence. So now they was trying to get that influence back. And how did they get that influence back? Painted everybody white during the Renaissance, man. That's why everyone became white. Why? Because they wanted to flourish again and they wanted that major influence back. Go ahead.
Conventionally, Slovakia, it is often considered to begin with the earliest record epic Greek poetry of Homer, the 8th to 7th century BC, and ends with the end of Western Roman Empire in 476.
So now they said that's when it ended. So now they call it medieval. Like, why do they call it medieval? Why? Because they're basically saying they attribute the time that those people ruling as a time of darkness, as a time of corruption, as a time of things not being done right. So they try and play down what was going on during that 1,000 years that black people ruled. They play it all down. So that's why they call it the Dark Ages. And then with theirs, they give theirs a nice name, the Renaissance. But yours is called medieval. So all of that was done purposely. And then afterwards, you're going to find out, once they rose to power, after Byzantium fell, they started shipping black people out of European countries. they started shipping black people out of European countries, you would end up going into slavery, and this was all part of a plan. And these images also helped as well. These images have molded who you love today and so forth. Hold on, let me drop that. I can stop sharing that. All right, give me that one you're holding to up on in Jacobite Gleanings. Go ahead.
Jacobite Gleanings on page 39. And the turning capital punishment into exile was an act of clemency, not of cruelty. Cromwell deported his royalists.
So now from England, Edomites are rising to power, and what are they doing? They're deporting black people out of England now. So what you'll find is they started to deport black people, and I'm sure the black Jews in Spain was sent back to West Africa and so forth. I think they ended up going to the Kingdom of Judah. They ended up going to Negro land and so forth. So now they was shipping black people out of all of these European countries, and it started mainly here after the fall of the Byzantine Empire, and once they started to rise again back to power.
Yeah, so was we ruling like first, or was we like at the same time?
What do you mean? Yeah, it was both here, but we had a higher seat than them.
Right.
So we was ruling, and then they rose to power. And then once they rose, but they did have noble families as well. But obviously we was just overall ruling. And then they rose to power. And then once they rose to power and we fell from power, they started shipping us out of all of these European countries. So then we got sent, brothers got sent from Europe to certain slaveries. And then from there, they started having all their images and then gave us their images to worship. And then now we think Jesus is white because the images that they gave to us, which all goes back to the Renaissance. So now, if you know anything about these images that they painted in the Renaissance, what helped them is the Gutenberg printing press. I believe that's his name, the Gutenberg printing press. Now, this was the first printing press in the 1400s. So now, before that, if you wanted any writing or anything, any literature, you had to copy it. You had to copy it, handwritten copy it. So now, at the time of this printing press, what could happen? You could copy books. So books went from being just a few hundred books, a few thousand books, to there being millions of books. So white people being the chosen people, and with that printing press, them books went around the world, man. Because now it was no longer handwritten copies. You could print as much copies as you wanted with the Gutenberg printing press. So that also helped the Renaissance also. Go ahead.
Cromwell deported his royalist prisoners so that it was not confined to one section of the community more than another.
So now Cromwell started to ship brothers out, man. These was the brothers that was fighting to get what? These was Jacobites. These was brothers that, supported King James and his family. And what did they do? They didn't want them, man. They didn't want them on the throne. So his shipping them out. All these men is getting shipped out to the Caribbean. Go ahead.
As to the clemency of transportation, Burton talks of the 700 rebel prisoners taken at Preston and sold as slaves to the West Indies.
So now, they sold as what?
Say again?
They were sold as what?
Sold as slaves.
So they were sold as slaves to the West Indies. Go ahead. That was it. All right, give me. There's more. There's more.
That was it on the highlight.
Oh yeah, no. So give me page 48. Actually, no. Give me page 51. Actually.
Page 51.
No, sir. All right, so now get me page 51.
Sir. There was an Edinburgh writer, George Hume, aged 30, marked as a black man whose color would no doubt suit the West Indies.
So now they started to ship you out of England because of your color. They said his color would no doubt suit the West Indies. So now this is when England started to become racist like that, whereas before that it was more a class thing. It was more a class thing and a family thing. But once these Edomites took over, it became a race thing. So they said, yo, his color would no doubt suit the West Indies. So after that, what did they started to do? They started to put certain connotations on words and so forth. So now let me add myself to the stream. So okay. So now when you look at
Good. So this is prior to the famous slave trade.
Yes.
So you're telling me the brothers getting shipped out before that? Because people only want to talk about, you know, the European slave trade. But I mean like the triangle slave trade is in like British and Americans. You feel me? This is prior to that.
This is prior to that. I can't find.
How far back going?
So this right here would have been around. This right here is around like 1500s, 1600s, but early 1600s.
This predates the slave that we know by almost 100 years.
Yes, so this predates that. So these brothers were getting shipped over there. So what happened is the brothers that were shipped from West Africa to the Caribbean, they was all speaking different languages. So sometimes when people say, yo, they weren't speaking the same language, that's the reason why, because the ones from here would have been speaking English. Then the ones from over there would have been speaking whatever language they were speaking.
So when a man says, oh, we're African because we're slaves, technically a man can say we're British.
Yeah.
We're slaves as well.
A man can say I didn't come from Africa. I came from Scotland. A man could say I didn't go for Africa. I came from England. So now they were shipping us from Europe and from also over there. So not every brother came through West Africa. Some came through Europe. And how do you know some came through Europe? Why? Because what we're reading right here is the Jacobite gleanings, where it says brothers were shipped from Liverpool.
That's right.
Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's a Liverpool in West Africa. So it's letting you know the brothers were shipped from places like Liverpool, Scotland. Brothers were shipped from Ireland. Go ahead.
You mentioned, I forgot the term you used before, you said that's kind of how we are now, right? Where before there was the ships out, it became racist. I forgot the term you used.
Classism.
Classism now, we've gone back to classism now, right? Because every nation is now here.
No, it's still racism. Yeah. But back then it was more class. So it was more like your family background or your class or whatever. And then they turned it into a whole racist thing. You call it so low and so forth. So then they started to put connotations on because I'm sure before they started to call themselves white was a classification, right? Yeah, white. So before they started to call themselves white was a classification. Like as in white, you see like how white means pure and whatever. That's what it was. So now they've started to call themselves white. So right here I got it says the color white. So what the color white, when they call themselves white, this is what they mean. They mean pure, clean, holiness. So that's why they call themselves white. And now when they call us black, this is what they mean when they call us black. It means evil, danger, darkness. So now, when you look at pictures of white people, what do you see? You see pure, clean, and holiness. Why? Because that's what the color white, according to the etymology, means. And then when you see black people like yourself, they've programmed you for you to think it means evil, danger, and darkness. So that's what they've taught us. So now, when you see these little white babies, what happens? People worship them and like these white kids are gonna grow up and be something great. But when you see little black kids, what do people see? These niggas is gonna be criminals and go to jail. These niggas is gonna be criminals and go to jail. Why? Because that's the negative connotations that they put on us. So now they call themselves white, pure, and holy, and then we are just darkness, evil, and danger. And people are anxious when they're around us because that's what they've attributed to us. So they've put that in there to make people look at us in a certain type of way. Go on, give me that one more time.
There was an Edinburgh writer, George Hume, aged 30, marked as a black man whose color would no doubt suit the West Indies.
So this color would no doubt suit the West Indies, man. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. All right, give me. Say that again. Yeah, I'm sure. All right, this book is called Leonardo, The Complete Works. I ain't sure how much the price is, but think I got this one for the lows. Okay, that one. So okay, I think I'm sorry if I could. Yeah, go ahead.
A Dominican preacher who is Regola de Governor de Cura.
So that was his name. Go ahead.
Of 1403 set out in great detail the beneficial effects of having small devotional paintings in the family home.
So they should have small devotional paintings in the family home. Go ahead.
Pictures of holy infants.
So they should have pictures in your home of holy infants. Go ahead.
Should be hung in the house.
Should be in your house. Go ahead.
He advised, since these would appeal to children.
So they said these holy images of children in your house would appeal to children. Go ahead.
From a very tender age.
From a very tender age. Go ahead.
Children would be drawn to such pictures, would see themselves in the infants portrayed and model themselves upon them.
So now you would see, so they was telling families, look man, put pictures of these infants in your house and your children will see this image and your children will see yourself in the image. Now show me, put the image in front of the camera. This is the pictures that they want you to have in your house, that they want your children to model themselves after. So imagine that. Imagine that we must put these. Now it's still show it if you could. So we must put these white babies right here in our house, so our children can model themselves after that. Guess what happens once you put these images in a black house? Your child then does what? Understands that white people are better than them, man. They can't identify with that child because they're not the same color.
That's right.
So there's a reason why they have you put this in the house. The reason they have you put this in that, it's like you can put, I know that book's heavy, so lucky. So the reason they have you put that picture in the house, you know why? Because what will happen is whenever you see anybody that says things like the oppressed, Christ died for black people, guess what you're going to say? What about white people? The reason you ask what about white people is why? Because you grew up with that image in your house from a tender age, man. From a tender age. You saw that as something strong and something great. You don't see yourself. This is why black people always say, "What about white people?" Every single time. Listen, I've never heard a black man say, "What about Chinese people?" Never, ever, ever. I've never heard a black person say, "What about Filipino people?" The first thing they say is, "What about white people?" You know why? Because they have this image in the black man's house, man. They told you to put this image in your house. Read that for me one more time, so lucky.
A Dominican preacher in 1403 set out in great detail the beneficial effects of having small devotional paintings in the family home.
They should put these paintings in the family home, man. They should have these paintings in the family home. That's what they said. Go ahead.
Pictures of holy infants should be hung in the house. He advised.
And he goes, pictures of holy infants should be hung in the house. So now, imagine you're a black man, and they say holy infants, and they call your children gollywogs. You start to think, well, your children's not holy infants, man. The holy infants that you start to look at is these Edomites, and when your children see them in the house, guess what happens? Your children end up hating themselves, man.
That's right.
Your children end up hating themselves. Why? Because of white supremacy. Because of this whole Renaissance period where they painted images. Listen, man. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. Yeah, go ahead.
Since these would appeal to children.
Since these would appeal to children, so you see how they're telling you put Edomite babies in your house. We need to put pictures of black babies in our house, man. That's what we need to do. We need to put black images of Christ in our house. That's what we need to do. My thing is this. Christians call everything an idol except the picture of white Jesus. Whenever anybody else has an image, they say, "Yo, the Bible says you shouldn't have no graven images." That's the first thing to go to. But then you show them a picture of Caesar Borgia and they will say, "That's Jesus." They don't ever say that's a graven image. They say that's Jesus, man. Which lets you know how lost they are. And these images brainwash you. Seeing these Edomite images, imagine seeing these images every single day. It's bound to brainwash you. Bearing in mind, you're black, by the way. So how can you identify with that image? You're seeing a white baby who the word white means. Hold on, let me go get it again. The word white means spiritual. It means pure, clean, and holiness. So now, when you look at this white image on the wall in your house, you see pure, clean, holiness. Now, when you look at your own children who are black, what do you see? You see evil, darkness, and danger. And then what happens? You start to prefer another people over your own race. You start to put other people over your own race. Why? Because they've called themselves white, pure, and holy, and they've called your children dark and dangerous and whatnot. And now they want you to put white images in your house, man. This is what we do. We throw down those images, man. We throw down the images that they tell us to put in the house. We tell them, F white Jesus, excuse my French. I'm allowed to say that, right? We tell them, forget white Jesus. Listen, we tell them, forget white Jesus, man. That's what we tell them. Why? Because we ain't going to allow our children to grow up and be brainwashed, man. Right. They want you to, go ahead.
Yes, sir. And these images also make, when black people see these dark images, they think that black people are superior to them.
Exactly. That's 100% what they think, man. They think that white people are superior to them once they see these images. So, Salakia, read that for me one more time.
Pictures of holy infants should be hung in the house, he advised, since these would appeal to children from a very tender age.
So now they wanted these white images to appeal to children from a very tender age. Now, let me show you one more time the picture they wanted you to have in your house. Lucky if you could just put that in front of the camera again. So this is the picture that they wanted you to have in your house. You see that these pictures right here. Now, we've all got grandmas. All our grandmas had these pictures in the house, man. Our grandmas had pictures of the Sistine Chapel. Our grandmas had pictures of the Last Supper in the house. It's like you can drop that. You can keep reading that one. So now our grandparents had those pictures in the house. So what happens? As soon as you see white people, you see what? The people of God. That's what you see. As soon as you see them, you see the people of God, man. And when you see them, you're supposed to see the devil the Bible speaks of. That's what you're supposed to see. You ain't supposed to see the people of God. But we've been brainwashed, and these are the images that they wanted us to put in our house. And that's how they got what? A white Jesus in a black man's house, man. During the whole Renaissance period and the whole printing press. Yes, Lucky, go ahead.
Children would be drawn to such pictures.
And they said children would be drawn to such pictures. Hold on, let me find some pictures that children would be drawn to. Bear with me 1 second. Hold on. Listen, man, we're going into the whole, all the art today, man. So lucky. Bear with me. Let me find some of the pictures.
And as the saying goes, man, pictures speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, not that one. Bear with me. Hold on, I want to show some of these, but yes, put this one. Actually, you stay there and read that letters up. I'll put this one in front of the camera. Hold on, let me find the next one. Bear with me. Yeah, show this one. So now, if you go into a church and these is all the images that you're seeing. So if you go into a church and you're seeing all these Edomites right here, you're thinking about these is the people of God because they're all over the church windows. They're all over the church. And I'm just a slave and they're everything, man. So now what did they do? They reformed themselves. Before they gave you Christianity, they reformed themselves. They made sure the images was right. They made sure you was in a low position. They made sure everything was right. And then afterwards, they came and gave you Christianity. Read that one more time, Benjamin.
Pictures of holy infants should be hung in the house.
And they wanted pictures of holy infants hung in the house. But the infants that they wanted in the house wasn't black babies. It was the paintings that they drew during the Renaissance period. And they wanted these in every house. Go ahead.
Since these would appeal to children from a very tender age.
Since these would appeal to children from a very tender age, so much that when I was younger, man, there was this little thing. I don't know if you ever done it where you focus on something for one time and then you blink and you see an image. You see it? Used to do that. And one of them, someone's like, who's that? I was like, Jesus. Because we were so used to seeing the white man as Jesus so long that until I joined the I.S.U.P.K, I didn't know Jesus Christ was black. Right. Listen, I was even bamboozled by these images, man. I used to think these Edomites was the people of God until I met Commanding General YAHANNA and he showed me otherwise, man. Listen, you couldn't tell me Jesus wasn't white, man. Listen, I was ready to go to war for white Jesus. Lucky that's how much they had me brainwashed, man. And the Lord had to do what? Remove that veil from my eyes, man. So now I can see him for who he is, man. And that white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. That's who he is, man. He ain't holy. These ain't holy infants. These is just devil's babies. It's just devil's babies that the one. Yeah, you can read it from the camera. So go ahead.
So for me, I recall in one of my previous workplace in the warehouse, there's this white guy, and everybody called him Jesus because he looked like the image that they portrayed many years ago.
And that's
so you
crazy.
have people walking around that have that image, and people just say that that's what Jesus looks like because of how they painted him on the pictures in people's houses.
And Jesus Christ was a nigger, man. So go ahead.
So that question online as well.
Go ahead.
Said, lucky sir, would it be in the spirit of a black depiction of Christ in your house?
Definitely, man. Let your children wake up every day and they will see that and understand that Christ is black, man.
That's right.
The same way they made you put a white image in your house so your children would know to worship white people from a tender age. Put a black depiction of black Jesus Christ in the house so your children will know that black people can be great, man. Let them know that greatness comes from black people. So yeah, listen, that'd be great to put in the house, man. Yeah, so that'd be great to put in the house. So okay, go ahead.
Children would be drawn to such pictures, would see themselves in the infants portrayed, and
and now imagine this: they're trying to make black children see themselves in white people. Listen, man, if you're born black, you're always going to be black. You trying to join them, and most of our people, it's not even their fault. They're just brainwashed. The whole Renaissance period messed them up in the whole images. Because listen, nowhere in the Bible it mentions Jesus Christ being white. But people think the Bible's a white man's book. Why? Because they see white people holding the book, and then the images associated with it is white. When you see Paul and Peter, they draw them white. When you see John drawn white, when you see Adam, Abraham drawn white. Why? The reason they're drawn white is because of the whole Renaissance period. Is there any more in that? Actually, go ahead.
Pictures of the Virgin Mary with the infant Jesus in her arms were also.
And now if you see Jesus and Mary both as white, and you believe Jesus is the Savior but is a white man, guess what that means? You treat white people with the highest regards, man.
That's right.
That's what that means. It means that you treat them with the highest regards and you love them deeply. Because why? They're the people of God according to the image that they've drawn and shown you. It's like you go ahead.
With Jesus holding a bird or
actually, you can drop that now. Give me Revelations 13 and 11. And Tazarpon, take that book and give me page 134 in that book. The image on there. Oh yeah, go ahead. Listen, we're going to show you how we regard white Jesus, man. Get me? We're going to add this to the screen and show you how we regard white Jesus. This is what we do, man.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb.
And now this beast is the oppressor. Go ahead. He had two horns like a lamb. Go ahead.
And he spake as a dragon.
Go ahead.
And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him.
Go ahead.
And caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast.
And he caused them to worship the first beast. Go ahead.
Whose deadly wound.
So the first beast is the Roman Empire, and their wound was healed. Go ahead.
And he doeth great wonders.
And now this oppressor does great wonders, man. This oppressor does great wonders. He drops bombs from the sky and all of those kind of things. Go ahead.
So that fire come down from heaven on the
listen, this is how we regard this image. Stand on the image. Go step on the image to Zapon. That's how we regard it, man. Listen, we don't care about the image, man.
That's right.
That's how we regard it, man. Go ahead.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Go ahead.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth.
And he deceives them that dwells on the earth. And black people have been deceived into believing in this white Jesus, man. They've been deceived into thinking that the oppressor is God. They've been deceived into putting these white images in their house. Not yet. Welcome to most of the brothers I know, our grandparents had a white Jesus in the house, man. So lucky, go ahead.
By the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Go ahead.
Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast.
And they said they should make an image to the beast. And this image that they made to the beast is that white Jesus that they force you to put in your house, man. Right. They came with the image. They came with their religion, that image of the beast. And the image of the beast is what? Caesar Borgia, man. And they said, you better worship this. They gave you the image. And guess what they did when they gave you the image? They said, this is your God, man. That's what they said. They said, this image right here, worship this image. This is your God and this is your Savior. And all our people's been bamboozled into worshiping the image. So like you put that image in front of the camera. Go ahead. This is one of the main ones that our grandparents had in the house. This is the picture of the Last Supper. That's what you're looking at right here, man. Oh, so lucky I was meant to be on mute. Yeah, go ahead. That right there. This right there is the Last Supper picture. So this right there is, they claim that this is Christ and all his men. So imagine you wake up in your house and you see this image every single day. This becomes, well, Christ was a white man. All his men was white men. And then you begin to worship everybody white. Guess what this will make you do? This will make you get a white woman, man. This will make a woman, this will make our sisters get a white man. Why? Because they don't see value in their own people. Why? Because every time they see people, what do they see? Darkness, death, destruction. And when they see these people, they see holiness. That's right. They see sweetness, they see righteousness. That's what they see every time they see these people. But when they see their own people, they see darkness. And that's why they have you put these images in your house. So your children from a tender age will come downstairs and pray to this image, man. They will come downstairs and worship this image. They'll wake up in the morning, this image is the first thing they see. They will go to bed at night, this is the last thing they see. So much that this image appears in their dreams. White Jesus appears in their dreams and they think, wow, Jesus told me if I be good, I'm going to get this. Because they've looked at that image so much that now it's in their dreams, man. Let's go ahead, Daniel.
Which had the wound by a sword and did live.
And it had a wound by a sword and did live. That's talking about the Roman Empire because it wasn't fully wiped out. They survived. You can drop that one. It's like, go ahead, Benjamin. Let me just.
Verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast.
And they gave life to that image, man. They gave life to the image. Because that image does what? That image speaks and does great things, man. That image is why black people is harmless today. That image is why black people is harmless. So lucky, what page am I looking for? So lucky, go ahead.
That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
And those that didn't worship the image would be killed, man. Go ahead. So now, hold on, bear with me. Too much books, man. I'm trying to find the. Hold on. Keep reading that until I find what I'm looking for.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand.
And this is going into the mark of the beast. This is going into something else. So give me this one, page 128. So now we're in the book. Well, this book is called Michelangelo, the Complete Works. Go ahead.
In a letter to his father of 27th of January 1509, Michelangelo gives the impression that he has accepted this commission.
So now, don't always think it was one white man that liked painting and decided to go paint. He was commissioned, man. Guess who commissioned Michelangelo to paint these white images? The Catholic Church. The popes commissioned it, man. The popes commissioned Michelangelo to paint these images. So all these white images that you see is painted by Renaissance artists. Some of your famous Renaissance artists is who? Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. What's his name? What's his name? The Raphaelite or whatever his name is. Raffaello or whatever. Listen, man. I used to like watching the Ninja Turtles until I realized they gave them names. What's his name? Leonardo. So they named him after Leonardo da Vinci. Donatello's the next one. So that's how they gave the Ninja Turtles the names, man. After these Italian Renaissance artists, man. I used to think the Ninja Turtles was black, so lucky. Until I realized they gave all of them. So if you look into whatever their names are, So there's one's called Leonardo, right? Donatello. And the other one's called what? Yeah, we're gonna get their names, but they're named after Renaissance artists. Leonardo. Yeah, wait, so one's Leonardo, one's Michelangelo, one's Donatello, one's Raphael. Because why? Because of the whole Raphaelite movement, who was part of the Renaissance as well. So all of these Ninja Turtles was named after Renaissance artists, man. Italian Renaissance artists. Listen, man, getting them UPK classes, man, you'll learn some things that you didn't even know. You want to name your kid Donatello because of the Ninja Turtles? Nah, it comes from them Renaissance artists. That's lucky. Get me that one.
Michelangelo gives the impression that he has accepted this commission only with reluctance.
Go ahead.
A draft letter of December 1523 to his confidant Fatoussi has a similar tenor. The artist describes how in 1505 Pope Julius II summoned him away from well-paid
So Saint, what's his name? What's his name? Pope what?
Pope Julius II.
Pope Julius II. He's the one that what commissioned the no, he's the one that paid for Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel. Go ahead.
Summoned him away from well-paid commissions in Florence.
So now before this, he was back and forth in Florence and Rome, painting other churches and whatnot. So okay, go ahead.
So that he could execute the Julius tomb and a statue of the Pope.
Give me the next slide, because how I'm seeing is we're definitely probably going to run out of time before we even get halfway through. So give me the next slide. Let me see what's on the next slide.
The 15th century decorative program employed the typological structure of the Old Testament events from the story of Moses on the south wall face corresponding the New Testament scenes from life.
So now this is what he had to paint. He had to paint all of these kind of things. He had to paint New Testament art and Old Testament art, meaning what he was painting, like Adam, Eve, Jonah, and in his paintings he painted all of them white. So that's what this is talking about. So the Pope commissioned him to come and paint these paintings, these fresnos and whatever they call them, these tapestries and so forth. Go ahead.
The program was therefore intended to illustrate both the establishment and spread of the divine message of salvation to the Jews and the Christians,
and imagine this now. If you're a person that believes in salvation, the thing is this: you have to love the people who salvation came to first, and this is why they painted the images that color. Why? So you have to go to them. Now they gave the slaves Christianity. Why? Because they fear the uprising. So they promised them heaven. They said, "Yo, listen, man, life's hard right now, but God made you this way. But you know, if you serve us and do what you need to do, you can make it to heaven." And this is why black people always ask, "What about white people?" Because why? Black people don't see no heaven without white people. Because when you look at these images, who do you see? White people. So you believe heaven is a place reserved for them. You believe that by serving them is how you get to heaven. So that's why black people always ask, "Well, what about the white people?" Go ahead.
And also the primacy of the Roman papacy.
Give me that.
This note by Michelangelo informs us not only about the existence of a contract today lost, but also about the first down payment.
So listen, they even paid Michelangelo a down payment, man. That's how much they wanted that Sistine Chapel painted. Go ahead.
And the intermediary role played by Cardinal Francesco Alillosi.
So I can put this in front of the camera for me. So this right here is, hold on, you're gonna have to try. This is the Sistine Chapel ceiling. So see if you can get that in front of the camera. So that right there is the Sistine Chapel. That right there is what Michelangelo was painting. And I think you got the book upside down. So lucky you got the book upside down. Yeah, that way. So now this is the painting of the Sistine Chapel. Now show me one black person there. So imagine you being a black man. So imagine you being a black man, and this is what you see, man. This is what Michelangelo painted. All these Edomites ain't a black person in sight. Now, if you've got this image in your house and you walk past this every single day, guess what happens? You're gonna love everybody that looks like that image. Everyone that looks like that image is gonna become a god to you. And that's why we need to get rid of these images out of our house, man.
That's right.
You shouldn't have no Sistine Chapel painting in your house. Listen, if I didn't need this book for edification purposes, I would have burnt it, man.
That's right.
Listen, when I be ordering these books off these websites, they must think, yo, they must think he loves Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. Listen, man, I have to have these books for edification purposes. If I didn't need this book for edification purposes, I would have burnt it, man.
That's right.
But obviously, I need it for future classes. So listen, in that day when the earth's filled with the knowledge of the Lord, I'm gonna burn all these books.
That's right.
Once the earth's filled with the knowledge of the Lord, all these Edomite art books that I got for edification purposes, I can burn them, man. So lucky, keep reading what you're reading. Go ahead.
All these are naked.
Exactly.
All nakedness and all this pedophilia and sexual deviance.
And the reason they're naked, why, is because they want to go back to classical antiquity. And classical antiquity, the Romans and the Greeks was forever naked. They never had no clothes on. So now, after the whole Renaissance was about going back to classical antiquity, and that's why they were naked. Go ahead.
So how come this is quote-unquote art, but if you join today, that's child pornography?
Exactly. So basically, they say that this wasn't nudity back then. They say nowadays everyone's perverted. That's what it is. It wasn't nudity back then, but nowadays everyone's perverted. So that's what they'll say. Go ahead, Benjamin. Also, any questions in the chat, just put them in the chat and we'll get to them. Go ahead.
But also about the first down payment and the intermediary role played by Cardinal Francesco Alidosi, 1467 to 1511, who drew up a contractual agreement with the artist on behalf of the Pope.
And now he drew up a contract on behalf of the Pope. So understand this. The spiritual wickedness in high places runs deep, man. It comes from the Pope and above. The Pope's in a high place, and instead of the Pope telling the truth about Christ being black, what did he do? Commission artists to paint Christ white, man. Commission artists to paint everybody white. That's what they did, man. So, Lucky, go ahead.
The figure of 500 ducats given in the recording in all likelihood represented 1/6 of Michelangelo's total fee for the project.
And now Michelangelo got paid for painting the Sistine Chapel. This right here is the Sistine Chapel. It's in the Vatican somewhere. He painted it, and this is all the images on the ceiling. Not one of them was painted black white because they took our records and painted themselves into our records, man. And now when black people think of the Bible, this is the images that they associate with it. When they're reading the Bible, the image of white Jesus they associate with it, because they've been obviously brainwashed into believing that nonsense. Yeah, you can drop that one now. Go ahead. He goes, why is this what? Yeah, people are going to be the best slaves when we're ruling. Don't worry. Right. Listen, you are going to be the best, man. You're going to be the best slave ever. You're going to pick cotton. You're going to work in the sun. You're going to be the best slave that there ever is. Ryan Moore. So, give me page in that same book. Give me page 142. So yeah, give me page 142.
Got it on concept. He has stripped away the bandage that kept their minds in darkness and has shown them how to distinguish truth from the falsehood that have clouded their understanding. You artists should thank heaven for what has happened to strive to imitate Michelangelo in everything you do.
And saying these artists should thank heaven for Michelangelo. Thank heaven for Michelangelo doing what? All Michelangelo did was brainwash black people, man. That's what Michelangelo did. So, Lucky, go ahead.
The frescoes tied together by the ancestors of Christ into a wide-ranging...
And now this man Michelangelo painted a whole genealogy, and everybody in that genealogy, he made them white. So, Lucky, go ahead.
And complex pictorial program illustrate not only different aspects.
Actually, to open, you know what to do? Find me any page in this book because they're all Edomites. So this is another book. This book's called The Christian Year in Paintings. This has all of them artist paintings in there. Now you can just find any book and put page and put it in the camera. And so go ahead.
Illustrate not only different aspects of the history of Christianity, but also genealogical continuity that runs from the creation via the tempus sublet, time under the law, right up
Yeah, you can show them if you want. You can just show them. You can just
to the epoch of Julius II.
See, so imagine you're reading a book in school and these white images is what you see. Of course you're going to believe white people are the people of God because you're seeing the images all day long and you're not seeing no images of yourself. This is called the Christian year in painting, and not one black man's in the Christian year in painting book. So what, you mean not one black man's a Christian according to them? So okay, go ahead.
This genealogy, read backwards, runs as follows. The Pope is the successor in the office to the early Christian Pope.
So the Pope got Michelangelo to also paint a picture of him and the rest of the genealogy. The Pope was trying to say he's related to Christ, basically. So the Pope tried to say he's related to Christ. Go ahead.
The Pope is the successor in the office to the early Christian popes depicted in the niches, who are themselves the successors of Saint Peter.
So now these popes are the successors of Saint Peter because they say Peter was the first pope. So now they're trying to say Peter's white, and all these images that you're seeing is of Edomites. Go ahead.
The first pope whose authority came from...
See, wait, hold on. Who's that? Put that book down just a little bit. Who's that meant to be? Is that meant to be Jesus right there? See, imagine as a child, you look through these books and this is all you're seeing. Of course you're going to love Edomites because you haven't been taught nothing else.
That's right.
They've trained you to love Edomites. So, okay, go ahead, Benjamin.
Whose authority came from Christ himself.
They say this authority came from Christ. So they believe by loving these Edomites, they're loving Christ. If only they knew that Jesus Christ was a black man.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
Christ's own lineage could be traced through the ancestors all the way back to the patriarchs.
So now this man traced Christ's lineages back and he painted every last one of them white. Every last one of them are painted white. So what hope do you have, man? So now I'm going to, for time, actually go ahead. Go ahead.
Could this mean that they didn't believe in the real Virgin Mary, the real Virgin birth, that they traced Christ's lineage back through to Abraham and Moses and
While is the note is true, but they just painted them white. So while is they painted them white to hide it from the world, because now if they left them black, people would be like, well, we need to treat those people better because Christ is from that lineage. So what they've done, they've made them white so everyone treats them like they're the people of Christ.
But still, yes, I'm just saying that even though it was written in the New Testament, by them tracing Christ's lineage, does that
oh, you're saying that they don't believe in the virgin birth?
Yes, God.
Oh, no, they do believe in it. So they say they in one of the books it says Joseph is stepfather or something. So they believe in it, but they call Joseph his stepfather because they lack understanding.
So could it be that they trace the lineage back to Mary? What some of them do?
Oh yeah, that's what they do. So they will trace it back through her all the way up to Adam. So yeah, that's what they will do. Yeah, you can show them as well. Show them. So now this is just a random book we're showing with all the so-called biblical images in there, and all these biblical images in there have what in common? They're all white people. When we know there was all black. So now drop that, give me the Negro Bible, give me page 5. So now there's a thing called the Negro Bible. We're gonna go into that real quick. So it should be one of the first pages. Also, any questions, put them in the chat and we'll get to them. Yeah, it should be page 5, is it? Yeah, it might be about that. Page 5, yeah, go ahead.
Another one card. In the British West Indies, at the same time of slavery, a number of Christians sought to convert slaves from African paganism to Christianity. So
now they wanted to convert slaves from the paganism that they was believing in into Christianity. So now this is when they converted you to Christianity. Go ahead.
Some of the Christian slave owners wished to introduce their slaves to the Bible. So now they want to introduce slaves to the Bible. Go ahead. However, to do so would be to introduce them to concepts of hope, encouragement. And now they said we can't introduce them to the Bible because the Bible talks about concepts of hope,
They didn't want black people to have hope. So they had to come up with a way to remove all of that hope and all of that stuff so you didn't get it, because they know if you read the Bible, you would know them. I feel like how Moses felt. They couldn't have you read that because they can't have you feel like Moses. Because if you feel like Moses, you just might cause the next uprising. Go ahead.
And the struggle for personal freedom.
And they said they can't teach you this because why? The struggle for personal freedom. Go ahead.
In a misguided attempt to save the souls of the people they deemed savages.
And they said, so how are we going to save the souls of the people without giving them too much information? Go ahead.
While preventing their exposure to messages of struggle, hope, and freedom found within the Bible.
Go ahead.
A group of white Christian missionaries and slave owners parsed the Bible itself.
So now, what did they do? Christian missionaries fine-combed the Bible and said, yo, all right, we need to decide what we're going to let them read. We can't have them read the whole Bible, because if we do, they're going to know about the Exodus, they're going to know about freedom, they're going to know about freedom and fighting for freedom. We can't have them do that. Go ahead.
Cutting out and removing all chapters and verses that may have led the slaves to consider the concepts of resistance, escape.
Hold on, wait, what did they do?
Cutting out and removing all chapters and verses that may have led the slaves to consider the concepts of resistance, escape, and freedom.
So they removed all the verses that would have made you want your freedom. They had to remove those verses because they can't have you be free. Go ahead.
Under the guidance of Anglican Bishop of London.
Under the guidance of a bishop. So when we talk about this spiritual wickedness in high places, this is what it is, man. They know what they're doing. They sit in offices and they talk about how to keep you down. Right. They sit in offices and they talk about how to keep you at the bottom. That's what they do, man. So, okay, go ahead.
Under the guidance of Anglican Bishop of London, Benedict Porteous II, founder of the Society for the Conversion of Negro Slaves.
And they wanted to convert Negro slaves. Go ahead.
The Bible was edited down to a simple and understandable volume.
They did what? Cut the Bible down to a small volume, meaning they took half the passages out. They took all the passages out. Why? Because they didn't want you to have access to them. Because if you had access to these passages, you would just become the next Moses. They couldn't do that. So what did they have to do? They had to just give you passages out of context, which would make you love them, along with the images of white Jesus and the white baby pictures that they wanted you to have in your house. They now gave you a version of the Bible which is geared towards you loving them. And they told you this concept of, if you don't do the right thing, you will go to hell. So you thought, damn, I don't want to go to hell, I want to go to heaven. And by you getting to heaven, you had to do what? Worship them. So our whole life became worshiping them and being a good slave to the slave master. That became our whole life. Because why? We thought at the end of that, our life's hell right now, but we'll get heaven in the end. We was taught that, you know what? God made us white people great, but you black people, God made you that way. And the only way for you to do better, even though God made you like that, the only way for you to do better is to worship us white people, and then you can go to heaven. So we believe that we believe that God made them superior and us inferior, and the only way for us to get on a decent level, we have to please them and do the right thing for them. So our whole life has been pleasing the slave master. So I can go ahead.
The Bible was edited down to a simple and understandable volume, devoid of any verse that would inspire insurrection.
And they took out of the Bible that they gave to you any verse that would inspire insurrection, meaning any verse that would inspire you to turn into the next Moses or Nat Turner or whatever. Go ahead.
In addition, the bishop's orders were to prepare a short form of public prayers. And
now they prepared a short form of public prayers. So why do you think all Christians do is pray? All Christians do their whole life is pray and pray and pray. Because they introduced to you a short form of public prayers. Go ahead.
Together with select portions of scripture.
Together with what?
Select portions of scripture.
Read that one more time. Together with what?
Together with select portions of scripture.
And they gave you select portions of scripture. Right. Meaning, they didn't have you read the book of Exodus. They didn't have you read the book of Revelations about he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Right. This is what they gave you. They gave you verses like servants, be obedient to your masters. And then they said, see, it's in the Bible that if you be obedient to us, because you're our slaves and servants, if you be obedient to us, then you will get to go to heaven. And black people said, okay, we're going to be obedient because God does exist and we want to go to heaven. And then they would see those white images every day when they wake up, and they would be like, let's be obedient to these people because they're our masters and they're the children of God and we just slaves, and if we be good, we can make it to heaven. And that's the lie that they told to black people, man. So
Right.
go ahead.
Particularly those which relate to the duties of slaves towards their masters.
Wait, the left one. What verses did they leave in there?
Particularly those which relate to the duties of slaves towards their masters.
And they left the scriptures in there, which they left out of context, which was the duties of slaves towards their masters. So you would read that and be like, well, it's in the Bible, so it must be right. Listen, man, the white man is the devil the Bible speaks of, man. Listen, man, he lied about every single thing, man. He lied from the images, from what the Bible says, from what he gave to you. Imagine this man fine-combed the Bible and left a few passages in there for you to read, man, and took the rest out. Why? Because he didn't want you to know the truth. Now, if they can do that, you need to sit down and think, what else have they lied about, man? You have to think, what else did I learn? What could not be true? You have to think, what else in my life have they lied to me about? Because what they did right there, that was a lie, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
British clergy, missionaries, and slave owners in the British West Indies found themselves in the position of deciding what parts of the Bible slaves would be allowed to read. They had to choose which parts would be needed to teach salvation.
And now, why do you think all Christians talk about is salvation? Because the oppressor left the parts in there which talks about salvation only. They said, what do we make them read so that they can believe that they get salvation? Go ahead.
Salvation of the soul and obedience to the master.
And that's what they left. Salvation of the soul and obedience to the master. And that's the two things that Christians do today. Obedience to the master. What about white people? That's obedience to the master. Salvation of the soul. What does this have to do with salvation? That's the first thing that they say. What does this have to do with salvation? Listen, man. They left those in there for that reason, man. Go ahead.
While leaving aside all other chapters.
While doing what?
While leaving aside all other chapter and verses.
While leaving aside all other chapters and verses. They left aside all other chapters and verses. Go ahead.
An example of a verse deleted is Galatians chapter 3, verse 28.
And now they deleted Galatians chapter 3, verse 28, where it said there's no Jew, no Greek, no bond, no free. But no, whether you're Jew or Greek, bond or free, you're all one in Christ. They removed that. Why? Because you would then say, well, I'm in Christ, so I should be free. So they said, we can't have them slaves here, that. So they removed that, man. They didn't give you, you wasn't privy to that verse. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And all one in Christ, we're all equal.
Exactly. So they couldn't have you read that, because if you thought you was all equal, you wouldn't be picking cotton tomorrow. You'll say, yo, I'm a Christian like you. No, man, you ain't picking that cotton. That's what you would say. So what did they do? They removed it so you didn't get to read that. So now they brought missionaries to give you parts of the Bible, not the whole thing, parts of it, man. Go ahead.
An example.
So anyone saying the Bible's not true, of course it is, because if the Bible wasn't true, they would have gave you the whole thing, man. The reason they didn't give you the whole thing is because they know this Bible would what? Make you stand on your feet, man. You would stand up and be a man and stand on your feet. Go ahead.
An example of a verse left in the slave Bible is Ephesians 6, verse 5.
So now this is a verse that they left in the slave Bible, which they left for you. Go ahead.
Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters.
Wait, read that one more time.
Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters.
Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters. That's what they left for you, man. And now every time you see these images on the wall, and anytime you see these Edomites, you're the slave and he's the master. And that's the relationship that you have with them, that he's the master and you're the slave. And you fall in line. Why? Because he gave you a watered down version of the Bible, a few passages out of context that he left in. Go ahead.
In their attempt to eliminate all verses.
Go ahead.
That could plant the seed.
That could plant the seed of rebellion. So this is why you Christians is so soft, because why? The oppressor made you soft, man. He removed all them verses that could plant the seed of rebellion. Because if you read the book of Exodus, you'd be like, I ain't going to work tomorrow, man. He removed all those verses because he don't want you to be free and fight against him. So what does he do? He makes you a good Christian. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Still okay, sir. And this debunks people who think that the white man wrote the Bible.
Exactly.
Because he actually is taking out verses of the Bible.
Exactly. He's taking out verses that he knows will make these people go, you get me?
Right.
So of course it is. That's what I'm saying. So that's right. Slacky, go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you. Go ahead.
In their attempt,
I mean, you can finish the statement you're saying. Go ahead.
So that's what I was saying, sir. So if he had written the Bible, he wouldn't have written anything that he would need to later on take out.
Exactly. Which proves they didn't write the Bible, man.
That's right.
All of that is garbage that they wrote the Bible. He's taking things out of the Bible because they don't want you to find out, man. Which is proof he didn't write it. People saying the Bible's a slave book. If the Bible was a slave book, guess what would happen? They wouldn't have to hide verses from you. The reason they're hiding verses from you is because it's not a slave book. Go ahead.
In their attempt to eliminate all verses that could plant the seed of rebellion in the minds of the slaves, about 90% of the Old Testament and 50% of the New Testament was deleted.
They deleted 90% of the Old Testament and 50% of the New Testament. All those book of Judges where the Lord was delivering them brothers and sisters, and they was fighting back and winning wars, and they was going to battle in all the Exodus. They removed all those, the Maccabees, they removed all those books, man. They said we can't have them read that. They removed 90% of the Old Testament, 50% of the New Testament. Why did they remove it? Why? Because you would realize who he was, man. You would realize what I'm reading in Exodus in Egypt sounds like my story right now. They removed that, man. Hold on, let me show you a good slave, man. Let me see if this video plays. Hold on. This right here is a perfect example of what they did to us, man. Bear with me.
In the plate.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on, wait. Mute that one. Yeah, is that on mute?
Ground and sports day playing together. Yeah, what they did, I don't condone what they did. It's terribly wrong. But I expect the law to work for me. It's not up to me to take revenge.
This evening, his sister Dominique came to look at the tributes.
Well, I've been here and back all day, so I just want to say thank you to everybody from the family. It's helped us a lot. There's a lot of support from the community, a lot of support from everybody.
I was approached by a reporter, and he asked me if I could find in my heart to forgive the killers of Anthony, knowing that I'm a woman of God, a woman of faith. And I stopped for a second, and I was just like, I obviously had to think, but it wasn't, for me, it probably seemed like a lifetime that I had to think, but it must have been less than a few seconds. And I said to him, I says, the Bible taught us that, and Jesus said 70 times 7 we must forgive, and that's what we must do. By a reporter, and he asked me if I could find in my heart to forgive the killers of Anthony, knowing that I'm a woman of God, a woman of faith. And I stopped for a second, and I was just like, I obviously had to think, but not, it wasn't, for me, it probably seemed like a lifetime that I had to think, but it must have been less than a few seconds. And I said to him, I says, the Bible taught us that, and Jesus said 70 times 7 we must forgive, and that's what we must do. And then the whole place went quiet because everyone else was just looking at me as if to say, oh my gosh, does she realise what she just said? Mum didn't speak for about a week after he died. She didn't say much. She was just wrapped up in grief. And then when she come home, she just come over to me and give me a hug, and she was just like,
Stream y'all. Yeah, all right. Yeah, someone said there's no sound.
Yeah, I'll turn it back on now, yeah?
Wait, hold on. Can someone put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me?
I think we know something.
Sorry, say that again. How do I play the video with sound, or do I have to do it from your side?
Play it again.
All right, hold on. Let me go back to it. So lucky, I'm gonna play the video again. I'm gonna play the video again quickly, just so people can hear it with the sound. I done a whole breakdown on it, but I ain't gonna do all that again. Let me just. What's the video called? Bear with me 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, it's a play now. Let me add it to the stream.
Oh, that's fine. They heard the breakdown, not the audio. But they heard the audio, not the breakdown.
Oh yeah, that's fine. You heard the audio. All right then. Oh yeah, that's fine. I don't need to play it again. So yeah, basically what I was saying is that's what Christianity will do to you. Christianity is all about you forgiving your enemies, and that's someone else said there's no sound. Someone give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me right now. Oh yeah, Yanukov said 1. All right, for Wadi, yeah, that means the sound must be on. All right, Benjamin, pick me back up where we was. Go ahead.
For me, I was going to say that when she mentioned the sentence, forgive the enemy 77 times 7, it may just be one of the scriptures that they left.
And that is one that they left in there. You're right. That's one of the ones that they left in there. So that's the reason why I said because what Christians pull out today, Christians read the same verses that they left in the slave Bible, which is all about salvation and that's all and prayers, because they gave them a book of prayers and tried to think, how can we bring salvation to them without giving them too much? And their salvation that they brought to them was about them worshiping white people. Yes, Lucky, go ahead.
About 90% of the Old Testament,
and also with that sister that said she forgives the oppressor. This is what happens when you're a Christian, man. Listen, man. This is what happens. You train how you fight how you train, man. And she's been trained to love white people. So when it's time to fight, her fight is loving white people. That's how she fights, loving white people. Why? Because you fight how you train, man. And that's why she can forgive them, because why? You fight how you train. White supremacy has trained you to love white people. Right. And now when it's time to fight, you fight how you train. And that's why you love white people so much. Because they've forced it on you, man. So Lucky, go ahead. Sorry to keep going.
Absent from the Bible were all of the Psalms.
Absent from the Bible is all of the Psalms. All of when David's talking about fighting and on the run and moving and the Lord being with him, they removed all of that, man. Go ahead.
Which express hope for God's delivery from oppression.
Which express what?
Hope for God's delivery from oppression.
Which expressed hope for God's delivery from depression. Imagine that. They didn't want you to know that you could be delivered. They didn't want that, man. And also, I forgot to say, when black people was also dying, they also would put a picture of white Jesus in the room, man. Did you know they used to have white Jesus all in the hospitals? When men was dying, hold on, let me see if one of the books says it. Let me get page, give me page 7. Yeah, this one. Page 7.
Conversely, the art of the period can reflect strands of spirituality in the Renaissance.
So, to slack it up on you're able to get me Mark chapter 3 and verse 27 that way. I think we're definitely going around time, but so lucky, go ahead.
The crucifixion panel in Gwynward's Inselin altarpiece depicts the tortured body of Jesus.
So now put a picture of white Jesus on the cross in the hospital room. Go ahead.
His skin covered with sores, his hands twisted with the pain of the nails, and his feet contorted by a single nail driven through them.
Go ahead.
The painting was originally hung in a...
And now this was a painting. So imagine they would hang these paintings in the room, man. Go ahead.
The painting was originally hung in a monastic hospital that cared for the dying.
So now imagine this. They would put this picture in a hospital which cared for the dying. So as you're about to die, the last thing you would see is white Jesus, man. Now they would see it too, but that's a reflection of them. But imagine this being a black man, you're ready to die. The last thing I want to see is some white man, man. The last thing you're seeing before, the first thing you see when you're born is a white Jesus. The last thing you see when you die is a white Jesus. They gave you white Jesus all around the board, man. That's what they gave to us. So is there any more on that? Go ahead.
That's like today, when you're born, big white people, when you die,
every year, listen, you see them all around you, man. So I can go ahead, Benjamin.
And patients who gazed at the body of Jesus would not have thought of it in theological terms, for seeing, for example, 3 nails as an image of the Holy Trinity, but as a reflection of their own afflictions.
And a reflection of their own afflictions. Go ahead.
And possibly as an affirmation that grace can survive the destruction of...
And now they're looking at that, as they're dying, they're looking at that picture as grace. That white Jesus is an image of grace, which is on the wall. Right before you die, you're looking at the image, and that's the image of grace, showing, all right, I might get some mercy because that image is right there. Listen, man, you ain't getting no grace or nothing from the image. That's some nonsense. Give me Mark chapter 3, verse 27.
Mark chapter 3, verse 27. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man.
And now they've bound the strong man with Christianity, man.
That's right.
Binding the strong man don't always mean kicking him out of the house. Listen, sometimes that strong man's bound with Christianity, meaning this man's strong, but the Christianity takes the spirit out of him. A man that would usually fight, now he goes on his knees and prays, man.
That's right.
Listen, that strong man's been bound by Christianity. Right. It's time to take those cords off, man. It's time to break off those cords and say, I ain't gonna be a Christian no more, man. Right. If you're a Christian, let today be the last day that you're a Christian, man. So lucky, hold on, let me get this one. So lucky, go ahead.
Okay. And then he will spoil his
then he will spoil his house. And how our house has been spoiled by that white Jesus on the wall. Right. That's spoiled. Listen, that's spoiled our house, man. Go ahead, Benjamin, and give me page 88. Yeah, 88.
Behind Sixtus are the sharp features of Laurel Crown Dante. His presence.
So now, most of the slaves converted. Why? Because they was promised heaven, and they was told about hell, and they seen images of hell. So they converted for that reason. Go ahead.
His presence serving as shorthand for the 3 potential destinations believed to await the human soul.
So now Dante's Inferno tells you about the purgatory and all this nonsense. Go ahead. Which awaits your soul. So this is what they gave to you to keep you as a good slave. They gave you all this religion nonsense. Go ahead.
After the death of the body, heaven for the blessed.
So now heaven was for the blessed. So if you was a good slave, you would go to heaven. Go ahead.
hell for the damned.
Hell for the damned, and you would be damned if you didn't serve your master. So that's why when they said slaves be obedient to your masters, they told you about hell for the damned. And then Dante's Inferno was a poem. He wrote about hell, and then Michelangelo was influenced by what? He was influenced by that poem. So he drew pictures of hell in the chapel also. So lucky to open if you're able to show these. So now these are the pictures, and this is why when you think of hell, you think of a fiery place under the ground because of things like this. So show that in front of the camera. So now this is why when you think of hell, move it more across this way, other way. No, other way. Yeah. So now when you think of hell and demons and hellfire, it's because Michelangelo painted drawings called the Final Judgment. So this right here is what Michelangelo painted. And have you noticed every time when people speak about hell, it's some fiery places, some scary looking people. Where you get that whole image from, you get it from Michelangelo's painting called the Final Judgment. That comes from Michelangelo's painting. Give me the next page in that Tizarpa one. We're gonna show you some more. Yeah, give me that one as well. So now, when you think of hell being a place full of demons, you get it from this. You get it from Michelangelo's painting. This ain't in the Bible. Hell being a fiery place under the ground is not in the Bible. It comes from Dante's Inferno, and Michelangelo was influenced by Dante's poem. That he drew the picture of it in like in the Sistine Chapel, I believe. And now these is the images that he drawed, and these images live in your head rent free. So this is why you believe if I do bad, I'm going to go to a fiery place under the ground and burn forever. Give me the next page. So I'm going to show you a few of these pictures. Lift it up because the so-called demons are at the bottom. So now if you look at the bottom, you'll see the demons and so forth. All of these hell pictures with demons in hell attacking you, it comes from Michelangelo's painting. Give me the next page as well. Let me see. Now skip over the next one. Give me the next one. Next one. Give me that one. So now these is some more. Pull it down a bit so they can see the other side across. Yeah. So now lift it up a bit where you can see the fire. No, down a bit. So now this is. You see the fire there. This is depictions of hell right there. So all right there is all the depictions of how to give you. Give me the next page. Up a bit. Go back a bit. So yeah, this is another depiction of hell right there. So all these things is all things that you learned from Michelangelo. All of these is all lies. Give me the next one. Yeah, give me that one. So all the pointy ears and the things you're so scared of, all of these depictions comes from Michelangelo. Hell ain't a fiery place under the ground. All of that is a lie, and that's you can put that book down. And now with that, we open the time, clap it up. Go ahead. All right, this is the end of the class at Shalom Israel. We're going to do this. Speak and be out. Go ahead.
Men of Israel, Elijah. Face the teacher, give one courteous salute. Rajam Shabbat. Rajam. Barak.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Radah. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Rakafam.
Yahweh Matam. Hands down. Sa, turn to the sisters. The sisters are one courteous salute. Men of Israel, Elijah. Rajam Shabbat. Rajam. Barak.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua.
Yahweh Matam. Hands down, clap his wrist.